And in today's episode, we have the amazing Andre Paradis, who's journeyed far from his tough beginnings and former career as a professional dancer to become a beacon of inspiration in the realm of relationships. With a passion for teaching that has taken him from Japan to Bangkok and back again, Andre's quest for knowledge began in 2006. Driven by sheer curiosity, he embarked on a journey to understand the dynamics between men and women, discovering powerful insights that would later become the foundation of his life's work. His groundbreaking Project Equinox emerged from his determination to share his knowledge with the world, equipping people with essential tools for developing healthy communicative relationships. And today, Andre stands in the third phase of his life, committed to transforming lives globally. As a relationship coach, NLP expert, public speaker, workshop leader, and two-time Amazon #1 best-selling author, he is on a mission to make a lasting positive impact on the way people connect and communicate. Welcome to the show, Andre.
Thank you. Wow, every time I hear that intro, I'm like, who? That sounds like a cool guy. Wait, it's me?
Is
I
that
guess
me?
wait, she's talking about me. Wait, damn. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's definitely been an adventure getting here, so it's fun to stack it, I guess. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, something that really hit me then was in the third phase of your life. So how old does
Yeah,
that make you?
that makes me old. That makes me like, this far from grandpa.
Wow.
My kids are 24 and 22,
No way, you still look
so
30.
full grown. Full grown. Oh yeah, double that.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. See, this is the power of happiness.
I'm gonna say, right, we talked about this. I'm fortunate enough to my life has not been a cakewalk by any means. The beginnings were hideous, but I kind of ended up basically creating a life where I now I could say with a smile, I have everything. I conquer my fears, I conquer my demons, I conquer everything that I was missing, lacking. I started taking personal development when I was 23 years old. I've been watching people since I was 5 years old. So all that cumulative, like pushing to find me, find my why I was born. Like I was born for a reason. It took me like half my life to find it.
Yeah.
So it was a hell of an adventure. But on this side now, I have everything. Like I'm the most fortunate. I told you earlier. Not only do I help couples get in healthy long-term relationship, but some of my clients, I actually get to marry them myself. I'm an ordained minister. So I
Mm.
did two last summer. Like I said, in Vegas, one in Vegas, and a month later went to Texas. I missed a few through COVID, just because of the circumstances of COVID. I refused to fly. Well, it is I refuse to fly with a mask on. So if you're not going to be on a plane without a mask, I'm not flying. So I missed three weddings, one in Texas because there was a shutdown, one in Delaware. Anyway, so and one actually here in Los Angeles because there was a very small limitation on how many people could be in the chapel. And so anyway, so it's kind of, but like the ultimate, honor really is to work with people, to help people, to get them from confusion to understanding,
Yeah.
and I'm an educator of effective communication strategies. This is one of the parts between all of us that is often the most challenging in all aspects of life, right? With your family, with your business partners, with your co-workers, but the love dynamic with your partner is even more elevated, right? There's more stake, there's more emotion. So the communication is a huge part of what I teach. So all of that put together, you know, helping people that attain healthy relationship be able to negotiate their wants and needs in a very respectful way, so that we're not fighting about it, we're actually talking about it, and then getting in flow of like, wait, you have my back, I have your back. And again, couples that succeed is really how they approach it. They're not trying to learn to like they're not fighting to get on top of each other, which is typically fighting means I'm trying to win on you, right? That's typically why people fight. Couples who succeed, again, all orientation, by the way, men, women, men, women, it's all the same. We study those. People who succeed in relationships all do the same thing, and primarily their energy is magnetized. I'll explain later. But in the end, they have each other's back. They each want the other one to be good, to win, to be healthy. So as opposed to fighting to get on top, they actually They actually communicate to understand, heal, fix, and it's interesting. In the conflict resolution that we get closer together. Do you know what I mean? In our culture right now, it's still silly. Everything in the culture is really going to keep you in struggling in relationships
Yeah.
because everything we teach. So, like, people think that as long, if the relationship's not fun and easy, right, it's the wrong person. That's ridiculous. It's the exact opposite. It's in the conflict resolution. We're adults, right? We're humans. We have our all our quirks and stuff. So there's going to be conflict. It's daily. We have conflicts with the world. You know what I mean? But when it comes to relationship, it's not like it's all good and easy, and it's the exact opposite. It's in the conflict resolution. Again, if we have each other's back, that we actually get to trust each other more because you're really on my side. So the conflict resolution that is done properly makes actually brings us closer and more bonded. It's not everything is easy. It's really when it's not easy and you work it together. Oh, so you get me going. Good
No,
morning. A
100%. I can see you're passionate about this. Amazing.
little bit,
I
a
mean,
little bit,
look,
yeah.
like when you were just saying that, I've just got so many like real life examples around me that, have come to me over the past few weeks. So, okay, so the first one is like there's it's very rare that I see couples who are on the same level,
Mm-hmm.
There's always someone, like let's just say it's the man, he wants to excel in his business, whereas the woman doesn't have that drive in her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like that's where a lot of the gaps arise, right?
Well, I mean, not in my world. So say more about what do you think that translate to if there's a gap. So tell me what that means to you? Like,
Well, okay, so for example, it is actually a woman that I'm on about because I'm actually going to be doing a podcast with her about the
okay,
entrepreneurial woman, So
okay,
she's like flying, she's all over social media, but her man is a real simple guy, he likes to just be at home and just to, be there for her. But then obviously, there's a lot of differences in the way that they communicate. And obviously,
yep,
she wants to spend a lot of time on her work, whereas he wants her time.
yep. No, so I mean, beautiful. So this is an inverted relationship, I call it. They're
Okay.
inverted.
Okay.
She's more the go-getter, the breadwinner, and he's more the passive, stay behind, support you in all your efforts. Go girl. Right?
Mm.
That's an inverted relationship. It works because there's a yin yang to it, right? It's polarity. What we now understand again with all relationships of all types that succeed, it is always a yin and a yang. There's a masculine, there's a feminine, right? There's an extrovert and an introvert. Temperamentally, that's who they are. So there's no fighting for control. There's no fighting to get on top. There's no fighting for 50-50. Nothing is 50-50. Nobody's 50-50. If you
No.
want 50-50 relationship, you got to be man on man or girl on girl, and it's going to flop. It's going to flop. Because man on man, you're going to fight. Girl on girl, nothing's going to happen.
Interesting.
Nobody's going to make decisions. You know what I mean? So again, what we know, this is not my opinion, by the way, it's the research and the data with, from my own work and 5 masters under which I studied, the shoulder on which I stand on, some very famous people, and we decoded this thing. So it's not everything in nature, everything I teach is nature science with psychology, right? So in nature, everything's polarized. Everything's polarized. There's nowhere on the planet where the masculine acts like the feminine, except with humans, with the new the new pulse of life, the new I call it the cultural tidal wave. We decided to go against nature, masculinize women, feminize men, thinking that's gonna equalize the playing field, right? Like on paper, I get it. In reality, it destroys relationship. It makes it impossible. We like neutralizing each other as opposed to staying polarized. So again, the relationships that work, one is extroverted. You like the person that opens doors, the person who's active more, the person who's out there more, and the other one wants none of that. They want none of that. They want to support the leadership in the ways that support the leadership, right? So there's an agreement here. There's a yin yang. There's a coming together to thrive. You know what I mean? So what happens is we raise women now to be masculine, to be boss babes, to be entrepreneurial. Okay, that's fine. But what happened is if you're going to be that woman, you're living through your masculine, you're going to attract feminine men because nature does that. Just like the couple we were talking about. Her husband is passive. Her husband is beta, and she's the boss babe, right? Now that's not going to work forever. Because
Mm.
even though there's a polarity that's natural, women get burnout, women get tired of carrying the load, even though they're very proud of it. Eventually, all my clients, by the age of 35 and 40, right? They're like, he's passive, he doesn't do anything. I do everything. He supports me in like my career while he's chilling in the house.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So women get really sick of it because I want to say this again, not sexy, you know. When I taught this to my assistant years ago, she was like, "Oh, that makes me mad." That your physiology cannot sustain competing like men out there, like we do.
True. True.
So if you push and fight and compete like men, if you're the man of the house and he's passive, eventually you burn out. And now we have a lot of data on this, right? The chemistry of our bodies, like you end up living off your adrenal glands, so you're constantly in fight or flight mode. And we now know that after 20, 25 years of being stressed out, flight mode, competitive as a masculine woman in the world, like I said, you want to do this, that's fine, but the price to pay going against nature is women get sick. They
Yeah.
sick all kinds of cancer. We call that lifestyle now cancer training.
Interesting. And
Not
also
made for that. Not made for that kind of pace, right? We have testosterone to do it. You don't.
interesting. Yeah. And
Isn't
also
it?
what I know about the successful women in their 60s or 50, late 50s are single.
But that's what I'm saying. So what happens is, oh, if you're gonna lean in so hard because you never felt safe in the world. By the way, there's always a reason why a woman is super masculine. It goes in childhood, bad daddy, no daddy, right? Passive daddy. So mom was the alpha, and the little girl role model after her mom, and or so we know that if a little girl is raised without the protection of daddy energy, even if he works a lot, right? He has the household sort of protected as an umbrella of safety because dad's present. That means that mom actually could be feminine, nurturing. It has all the energy and the space to nurture the children. That's the perfect setting. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's always been. That's how you create healthy families, healthy kids, right? He's killing himself. She's nurturing from the background, nurturing the children because he's not there, right? And a little bit later on in life, by the age of 10 for boys and 8 for girls, daddy comes back in the picture to socialize them. So that's the perfect setting. But if there's no daddy, or if there's a bad daddy, right, or a beta daddy, right, who lets the woman lead everything, which is, again, it's not going to work for 50 years. It's going to work for 5 to 10, and then she dumps him, right? But if daddy is not present, if the daddy doesn't make, but the girls, if the daddy doesn't make the little girls safe, right, the household safe, mom is mama bear, which is masculine. The little girl role model after this, and it's a defense mechanism. If the little girl doesn't feel safe, she has to man up. At the age of 5, you man up because there's no safety around you. Mom's not safe; she's a beast, and dad's not safe; he's not there; he's sick, right? Or so the little girl mans up at 5, 6, 7 years old, and it becomes a lifestyle of being masculine. And in that energy, the little girl cannot actually develop her femininity. There's no space for that. Do you understand? So this is always a trauma injury. For the boys who are feminine men, they typically have no daddy role model to teach them, show them how to be masculine appropriately, right?
True.
Like so, because men need men, boys need men to raise them to be healthy masculine, right? But if there's no daddy role model and mama bear is driving the house, single mothers, that happens a lot, they will raise the boys to be sweet, sensitive, vulnerable, talk, 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 talk like girls, to live their lives through their feelings. That's what women do, not men. And that literally castrates them. So they go out in the world being sweet and feminine, but get this is a terrible thing. Are you ready? Again, this is all data. This is not my opinion. This is fact, right? When you're in your masculine as a woman, you only attract the feminine. And you think that's men, and you think they're passive, they suck, they're cheaters, they're liars, right? They're manipulators because that's what boys do. Boys want to take from women when men provide and protect women. So when you flip the script, not understanding that we destroy the ways that nature work, we have a problem. So there's a way to readjust this, right? And it's not going back to the 50s. Don't accuse me of that crap. It pisses me off. That's not what I'm saying. There's a modern way to make a relationship work in the more of a flow of polarity. Period. Masculine, feminine, yin yang, black, white, up, down. One cannot exist without the other. So when we neutralize men and women, it goes to shit. Sorry, your turn.
Thank you. No, that's
Sorry,
fantastic.
sorry.
But
You
it's,
see how you see how like you get me going here.
I love
Well, you
it.
get it right. You get it right.
100% I get it. Oh my God. Like everything you're saying is spot on. I mean, and so communication is at the heart of your coaching
Yep.
methods. So what are some of the common communication barriers that you see in relationships
Oh
today?
my goodness! Again, so nobody really gets that because it makes no sense on some level. So we don't. If you don't dig in a little bit, like you miss all of these things that are primarily the reason why we're colliding, fighting, hurting each other, miscommunicating. Like, so I'm gonna get this. This is crazy. Are you ready? This is so crazy, but it's so true. And we'll talk about it if you want. Men and women speak and listen completely differently.
Yeah,
And
I get
you know, are
that.
you with me? Did you get
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
But
yeah.
most people don't because, like, I look at you hear the words that come out of my mouth. I speak English. Why? We're talking. We're communicating. We're not
No,
because what you are hearing when I say something is not what I said, and
mm,
when you speak, what I hear is not what you said.
true. Yeah.
So we communicate differently so much. So we keep missing the boat and getting our feelings butt hurt
And
or
being smart.
assuming that, right? So we get to assumption, and obviously, anyway. So you wouldn't believe how much confusion and colliding happens because we don't even know this. We don't know this. So to learn this is essential. Um, it's essential. Otherwise, you're going to keep missing the boat and thinking he's a jerk, and he's going to think you're crazy.
Yeah, it's
That's
true.
typically what happened. He's a jerk, and she's crazy, right? Because obviously he's a jerk because I try to bring something up to him and he's like, it's that's your problem, right? You're too sensitive. That he comes from a male brain kind of thinking, right? On his side, he gives her the one word answer. She thinks he's shallow and selfish. No, he's a man, she's a woman,
True.
right? We have to decode what's happening. And my world is not like this men world, is a women world,
Yeah.
completely opposite. Completely opposite. Everything motivates us is different. We do everything for different reason. What we like, what we dislike, is completely opposite. There's no equality there. But
Can
I
you?
teach I call it the sweet spot. How do we meet in the middle? His way, you have to understand his way. Her way, you have to understand her way some. And how do we meet in the middle? That's the relationship. Okay.
That is, yeah. I was going to ask some kind of examples that you can give for my listeners.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really quickly, in a nutshell, I'll give you a couple examples because that takes it home.
Mm.
Um, Women speak not directly. Women speaks in hints and innuendos and sort of like tone of voice, right?
Yeah.
So the tone of voice, the hints is how you communicate.
Yeah, true.
And with each
Especially,
other, right, facial expression, right? It's a signal. Men too do this facial expression. It's very caveman. It's not the words. But you tend to like to have throw details and again hints and innuendos that each of you, woman to woman, knows exactly what's happening. But I'm not listening for hints and innuendos. I don't have a brain for that. I'm not interested in that. We speak as male directly. So man on man, when I speak, is the words that I use is what I'm saying.
mm,
Right? When if I when and I can give you I'll give you an example of this of when a man speaks, especially his girlfriend, right? Because like invested emotionally, he'll say something, and her first thought, she doesn't say it out loud. Her first thought is like, "Huh, what's he trying to tell me?"
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah, okay,
I'll give you an
yes.
example. I was talking to like a show host. I was on a radio show, and he's like, they take everything personally. Why do they take everything personally? Right? Because that's how they communicate with each other. I said because the example he gave me he goes, I am a guy who likes gum. I like to chew gum. I'm always got gum with me. I chew gum all day long. I have gum on me. I gum. I'm a gummy. Right? I go okay. So he says, why is it when I pull out my pack of gum because I'm ready for a new stick? And if the lady in front of me, a woman, I say, would you like some gum? She gets offended. Why do I have bad breath?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
true.
again, again, not the words that he's saying. She's not hearing the offer. She's hearing what is he trying to tell me. So you
Exactly.
ladies constantly screw yourselves up by trying to understand what he's trying to say. How many times have you heard a man say or a woman say, "It's not what you said; it's the way you said it."
Yes.
Factual, factual. We have no ear for the small stuff, the hints, the innuendos, and the tone of voice. Like when I'm irritated, right? My wife will hear it, but I
Yeah.
says, "How can I not be irritated? How can I not hear it? I'm irritated." You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Of course, I have the tone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But like, it doesn't change what I'm saying,
That's
right?
yeah.
But the
No.
tone often will scare you, so you can't even hear us, and there we go again, right? Because you kind
Yeah.
of like block you. So it's ridiculous. But we so again, woman on woman, you understand each other because you get that what she's saying is not what she's saying. It's the hints that she threw around, and you pick it up. We're
Yeah.
like, what? I'll give you an example that's ridiculous. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ridiculous example. And again, this sort of so my lovely, lovely wife, my wife is awesome, but she's a girl. So her system is different than mine. She says to me, this is a few years back. It was Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, Sunday late afternoon. And she's like, here we go, watch this. She goes, hey babe, do you want to go for dinner tonight? What did you hear? Because what I heard is, hey babe, do you want to go for dinner tonight? It's a question.
Yeah. Eat out, basically. Yeah.
What do you mean eat out? See, you heard it like she said it. That's not what I heard.
What did you hear?
I heard, babe, do you want to? She's asking me a question if I want to go out tonight. That's what she asked.
Oh my God.
So get this, get the
That's
ridiculousness of this. So I say to her, I'm like, huh. You go, yeah, no, I gotta call my mom later, and I don't want to brush. So like, this, no, I don't want to go. And she's furious.
yes.
Okay, why? Do you see how insane
Yeah.
that is? Explain, like my brain heard the words and the question,
Mm,
answer the question per the question posed to me. Do you want to go out? No. Now she's furious.
you
Now
body.
I know how to pull her back. I know I'm in trouble. I know when something happened, right? So, but it happens slowly. She doesn't get mad on the spot. The men are really active when you disrespect us. You'll get the right. But girls don't do this. Girls is like putting a knife, like a hot knife in butter, right? It takes like 10, 15 minutes for you guys to go to pull away from us because now you're like, right? Like, so it's subtle until it's not, right? So I realized something is wrong. I have no idea why. She asked me a question, and a half hour later, she's not looking at me. She turns her back on me.
Yeah.
She's not making eye contact. Oh shit, I know it's a problem, right?
There's a
So I
problem.
go up to her. I go, "Are you okay?" Uh-huh. I'm like, "Oh, stop with that." Like, no. And I'm gonna if you're gonna like play games with me, I'm gonna get pissed. And I have we I don't want because again, women who will do this. I'm fine. And I'll ask you again, I'm fine. And by the third one, now I'm pissed off because you're obviously refusing to help me understand, and now you're making me pay for the fact that you're mad. Now I get pissed. So anyway, this is what makes it worse. All right. So now me and her know this. So when I ask you, don't give me I'm fine when you have the face, right? So
Mm,
she's telling me I'm fine. It's a reflex, and I go, no, I'm gonna stand right here. What's going on? Like, I don't know what happened. Like we're fine, and now you're angry. She
no.
goes, well, get this. This is crazy. She goes, well, it's Sunday night and I'm tired and I don't feel like cooking, so I thought maybe we could go out for
Yeah.
dinner. But you don't want to go. So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to cook. I'm like, okay, what, babe? Why can't you just say that?
Why, why couldn't she say, shall we go out to dinner tonight?
No, all she had to do is say exactly what she said. Babe, it's Sunday night. I don't feel like cooking. What do you
Oh,
think about going out? I would have gone, fuck yeah, get in the car because I don't want her to put out if she's not willing to, right? But that's not what she asked me, is it? What she
oh.
asked me is, do you want? Anyway, so we do this all day long. So I've decoded this language, by the way, so I could teach men, I could teach women, because for
Mm,
man is decoding it per tones or whatever, right? Tones and not the word she used. Like there's another one. Are you ready? I'll give you an example. It cracks me up, ladies. You're funny as hell. You're funny as hell. But when you get it, like instead of being frustrated, you're funny as hell. But it's ridiculous how different we are. She'll ask me my opinion, right? I'm a man. Ask me my opinion. I'll tell you exactly what I think. Boom. You ask me what I think about something. There it is. Right? I have the facts to back it up. I have the data. I may have you ask you some questions so I can be precise. but you're gonna get exactly how I see it. So my wife sometimes would ask my opinion, and once again, she's mad. I don't understand, right? I don't understand. Like you asked my opinion, I give you my opinion, and you're angry. Oh, hold on. I decoded this a little bit later. So what
Speed mode.
when a woman asks for my opinion, or any woman asks anybody's opinion, girl on girl, you know this. Boy on boy, boy on girl, we don't know this. And boy on boy, we don't do that way. Boy on boy, we go directly. Oh, I'll knock you in the head with my opinion, just because you asked, right? So I realized that the reason why she gets mad sometimes, but often when she asks my opinion, is that, and I decoded this, right? She doesn't want my opinion. She actually does not want my opinion, even though she said, ask the question, right? She wants me to agree with her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You see
100%.
again, what the hell is that, right? So this is how we confuse each other, right? So now I say to her, when she asks my opinion, I go, so do you want me to agree with you, or do you want my actual opinion? Because you may not like my opinion, right? Like I have to clarify because she's not doing it,
Yeah.
right? So she goes, I just want you to agree with me. All right, okay, you're right. What a bitch. She should drop that. I can't believe they hire her. She should absolutely fire her. They should. I can't believe right. And I would just go right in, say anything ridiculous to agree with her. Not to say that's ridiculous, but for her, it's like, she feels seen and heard,
Yeah.
right? I agree with her. Now I'm a partner. If
Yeah.
I go the opposite and I say, no, I think the girl's right and you're wrong, now I'm the devil. But you
Yeah.
asked my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like things like this we do all day long. You see it? It's
Interesting.
ridiculous.
So obviously, for a lot of people out there, how like what can they do like from today to actually start to work on this?
Well, you got to learn. Like I said, you really, 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 really got to learn. You have to dig in. People assume that they're talking, that they're communicating. But if you're not getting the results, you're not communicating in
Mm,
his way or in her way, period. You know what I
okay.
mean? So yeah, you really got to learn this. Like, a man speaks, and instead of thinking, what's he trying to tell me? I go, stop. What did he just say? That's what he's trying to tell you,
Mm,
right? There's
yeah.
no hint in windows. We speak directly. And when somebody comes at me, my wife or a woman, right? Now I now know if I get a question posed to me, it's not a question, it's a statement. Do you want to go out for dinner tonight? Is not, do you want to go out for dinner? It's please take me out for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
That's the
Mm,
decoded, right? So a question is never a question. Do you want me to go get the kids? That means, can you go please get the kids? Do you
yeah.
understand that?
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
know this. So you got to really kind of decode this. That's one of my favorite things to teach because that's one that we constantly derail each other on, and we think the other one's a jerk. We don't understand we're doing differently. They don't mean to be right. It's all miscommunication, but you got to learn.
It is. It is. Oh, wow. And then you talk about three key tools that you recommend for people to build healthier, more authentic relationships.
It's not tools. It's what has to be in place. It
Okay.
has to be in place. There's actually four now. I discovered a fourth one since I wrote
Okay.
this. So again, not my opinion, data, fact, what it is, how it works, right? In order for a relationship between any two people to go long term, you have to have these four things. The first three are primary. You'll understand in a second. The first one, you have to have chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, this is like God given, right? It's your body's reacting to his body, and vice versa. You may have chemistry for him, he doesn't have it for you. Not gonna work. Chemistry has to be mutual. So that's the first thing that we kind of gets us to tingle, right? So that's an easy marker because if you both are tingling, you're good. So that's hook number one. Essential for long term. Number two, you have to be compatible. And that's a really, really tricky one because compatibility comes in a gazillion different aspects, ways, right? Like, so if I'm going to round it up in a big way, it's like you have to kind of understand and negotiate or discover together what your end goal is for the life together. If you want to build long term, right, are you going the same direction? Are you looking for the same lifestyle? Are you planning to retire in the same country? Right? How are you going to raise the kids? Right? Are you a disciplinarian or more of a loose parent? Like these things have to be agreed on. Do we want children? Do we want to be married? Right? Like all these things. Now, the first one come out typically early, right? But the ones are the ones we don't ask, the questions we don't ask in the name of are we compatible really in all the ways that we need to be for to go long term, people mess it up all the time. And I give you an example of this. I'm in Los Angeles, right? So I had a client, a lady, she's an actress, and her boyfriend is not. She's a lot more extroverted, he's introverted. You get it? There's always one of each, by the way. Like there's no two extroverted together and two introverted. It's always one or the other. One is always afraid to get dumped, and the other one's always afraid to lose themselves in the relationship. Always, 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 always. No accident, right? Data, data, data. Anyway, so she's an actress. She's extroverted, right? Da 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 da. He's more passive, beta guy. He works, but he's introverted. Well, as an actress, part of her job is to act with other men, to hug, kiss, lay in bed with other men per the play. And his mind just, he could not, like, just the thought of that she's in rehearsal and he doesn't know who's got his hands on her as a normal male, right? He's like, I can't freaking handle this, right? So, but she's like, that's my job. But he's like, yeah, I don't like your job. Like, this is, can you change your job? She's like, this is who I am. Incompatible. You know what I mean? So there's so many things so that became obvious, obviously, because that was her work. But like the subtle ways, I had a couple who he was Middle Eastern, she was a white American, right? They were together 4 years, so they have chemistry, right? They thought they were compatible, and they had a good a kind of basic level of communication, but they were good enough that they 4 years. 4 years means something is kind of working. Except they through the years they start finding more and more and more and more. So I get pulled into this equation to see what's going on because the fighting is ridiculous. Get this. Nobody asked the question. Nobody talked about this, right? Turns out that as a Middle Eastern man, he wanted this woman to be passive, like they are in this culture. Do you know what I mean? Let me lead and just support me. This I don't want your opinion. I don't want your balls. I don't want your boss babe shit. Like it.
Mm. I
So, but he never said that. They never had the conversation.
don't.
So she's an American boss girl, right? And when he finally said it out loud, I want you to be submissive. I want you to stop leaning on me. I want you to lean back. I want you to take care of the kids more. I want you to work less. He didn't want her to be a slave. He just wanted like a more like balanced version of yin yang. She was too boss, and she lost her mind. And she's like, 4 years, this is who I am. I'm not going to change for no man. Incompatible. But again, it took him 4 years to get there.
Wow.
Heartbroken, right? Separation, like, because in 4 years you bonded, right? So you have to recover from the heartbreak. You wasted 4 years of your life. People don't freaking do this, right? So I have this list of questions
They
for my
don't.
clients that I say, ask these questions to discover compatibility in deep details. Otherwise,
Mm.
again, because if you're missing compatibility, you won't go long term. And the last one is the communication, like we just talked about.
Mm.
I also teach what I call Manglish to the ladies. There's a language for men to have them literally melt in your hands when you want to adjust. Because you ladies don't know this, right? You ladies experience us like we're big, we're loud, we're controlling, right? That's masculine. Controlling is masculine. For a male to survive, he has to control everything in his life from the day he could walk. So when you accuse men of being controlling, it's like saying, accusing women to be, girls. Like it's just it's built in. That's how we survive the millennia. So how do you adjust his big ways is the game, right? How do you bring him down from being too big, too loud, too controlling, too pushy, because testosterone does that, right? There's a language, ladies, that just melts him into you again, you tap into his instinct for him to adjust for you.
Mm.
That's the magic because these guys provide, protect, cherish, give support, right? Guide, lead everyone, everything, the wife, the kids, the family, the kingdom, the business. That's who they are.
Mm.
You can't fight with him on that. You can't demand him to change. That's never going to work, right? That's man on man. You're going to fight. But if you pull him out in the feminine ways and trigger his instinct to fix it, boom, he's gonna. So men change like a lot when you know how to approach them respectfully. Menglish,
Interesting, yeah, because
isn't it though?
but yeah, you hear that all the time, don't you? Like from women saying that, you can't change your man, but obviously you're saying you can.
You can't. Now you're not going to change his temperament. You're going to change how he functions, right? But with you, you'll be able to ask him for adjustment for your comfort.
Just
How many times did my wife who says when the kids were little, she'd say, babe, you scaring the children. You scared the kids are freaked out. I go, what do you mean? Well, I go, you bring it down, you scare the kids. Now she's not attacking me. She could say, you need to stop yelling. That would be my mother, right? Would be fighting. No, she's
yeah,
like, babe. You scared the kids. Well, yeah, look, they're freaked out. Just bring it down. It's okay. It's not a big deal. I go, oh, okay, hold on. You're right. Okay, right.
calm down,
So, she's not changing me. She's helping. She's asking me to adjust for the
adjust.
comfort of the household, right? So these are the things. You're not going to change his temperament, but you could
Interesting.
actually, if you will adjust his behavior for your comfort, absolutely. You have
Yeah.
to know how to speak to him in that way.
Press the buttons.
Press the button that works as opposed to wait till you're mad and then say you need to stop. You're a jerk right now. I don't like.
No, not
Because
at
what
all.
happens is when you wait till you're mad and you go after him,
Yeah,
right? He will experience this as an attack, and you understand that males are warriors instinctively. You
defense.
attack a warrior, what's going to happen? He's going to defend himself against you. He's going to push back. You're going to lose, and you think, "See, he's a jerk. See, I can't even talk to him. He's a jerk."
Yeah.
But that's not how you do it. So this stuff has to be learned. That's the communication level. So, chemistry, compatibility, communication. And the new one they discovered the last couple of years, number 4C, this guy called it 3Cs, now it's a 4C, is circumstances.
Mm.
Because I have couples or like, they meet each other, they have the chemistry, they're compatible, they want the same thing in the future, blah, blah, blah. And they they're good communicators enough, so they have the hook, but realize that he's been divorced 2 years. He's raising an 8 and a 10-year-old, and he can't take that on. He's right, still fighting with his ex-wife. Like circumstances, right? I have a client where um, her boyfriend, who is now not a boyfriend because compatibility didn't work, right? Circumstances didn't work. He's from France, and he married an American woman who also now lives in France. So the American woman's in France. They're divorced now a year, and he lives in the United States. So he starts dating her. They have compatibility. They have the three, right? Like it's working. They have all the tingles together, except he cannot. He refuses and will not consider divorcing his ex-wife, even though they have nothing to do with each other, because if he divorces her, she'll have to be extradited back to the United States, and she has a whole life now in Europe. So, out of being a good guy, he refuses to to destroy this woman's life that he still cares for, even though they're divorced. But what does that make him with my client? Incompatible. She wants to be married. You know what I mean? So, like things like this, are like people don't ask the questions. You have to dig. So,
The
all
problem
four.
is, yeah, but the problem with that as well, that I've experienced, and I know many others have as well, like, when you first meet someone, you you'll just adjust to, whatever they want, don't you? Like, and your own needs kind of get a bit
Pushed out of the way.
yeah, because
Well,
you just want to please, don't you?
that's the feminine paradigm, by the way. So it changes after menopause. You're not there yet, but this changes. So your chemistry of your body, estrogen has you wanting to be pleasing and pleasant. You want everybody to feel good. You don't want anybody to feel bad, right? You're trying to connect the dots. You're trying to include everyone, right? There's community in that and connection and safety. So that's the natural feminine estrogen. That's what it's called. It
Mm.
makes you function. It affects your brain in that way. Connection, safety, togetherness, all that beautiful stuff, right? So often it's hard for younger women before menopause, all women before menopause, because of estrogen, high level of estrogen in your bloodstreams and your brain. It's hard to hold boundaries. It's hard to say no. It's hard to say I'm not interested in that, right? Because that makes you mean. It's hard to not offer to help somebody, even though you have no space, time, and energy for doing it, but you'll still offer because otherwise that would be mean. And hopefully the woman who's receiving your offer knows it's a false offer, and she'll say, "No, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out." But like you girls are like so busy being pleasing and pleasant that often you collapse your boundaries. Now, woman to woman, it's a little easier because the woman will know that you're making a false offer. Oh, I'll drive you to the airport. Oh,
Mm.
don't be serious. Don't be don't be silly. I'll Uber, right? But I've had women say this: a man will not hear you the way a man will not hear the false offer like a woman would, right? So
Oh,
if you have low boundaries and you want to be the nice girl and you go, I'll drive you to the airport on a Friday afternoon at 3 in Los Angeles. That's a 3 hour ride,
oh,
which is
okay.
supposed to be a 40-minute drive, but traffic on why? So if you say to a man in Los Angeles, right, I'll drive you to the airport at 3 p.m. Friday, he probably will say, great, thanks so much. And now you're like, what a douche, what a jerk, right? Like that's 6 hours of my life
Yeah,
both ways, you know what I mean?
it's true.
So women on women, you kind of have it, you understand these things, right? Again, just like the hints and innuendos, like you understand what a woman's like, this is ridiculous, but thanks for saying that, thanks for being sweet, right? But no, if you do false offers on men, they take it often. And you'll think, what a jerk, because you should know better. It was a false offer. No, you heard the words that you said, just like me with my wife. Heard the words that you say. You said, sure, I'll take you. Great. Save $50 Uber.
Interesting.
You
Yeah.
see that? Like
Mhm.
this is the game. This is what I'm like so passionate about. It's like when you
And
decode all these things, all the madness stops.
yeah, it's so true.
Crazy. When I teach a woman about like so I call it I have the owner's manual for the man if you're a woman, and if you're a man, I have the owner's manual for the ladies. Like yeah, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I could decode what she needs so she stays lovely and happy and sweet with you. And I could decode him so you understand how you disrespect him not knowing and why he turns into a beast and how to bring him out, when he's a bring him to her, right? So when you decode this, I'm telling you, especially my ladies, my favorite, because guys when they realize whatever it is I teach that works, because I teach them instincts for women, what she needs to stay lovely, connected, safe, right? Right? They don't understand because we don't have any of that mechanism or operating system. So men will go, I don't know why that works, but it works. So they just do it. Like they just do it. It makes no sense, but it works. Look, she's happy. Boom, done, right? But I think the bonus on the other side, when a woman understands men's operating system, what motivates us, why we do the damn things that we do, and why we don't do the things that you want us to do, right? Understanding a man, standard, classic, traditional, masculine man, when you get what drives us, 50% of everything you take personally disappears. As
Interesting.
opposed to thinking he's misbehaving, he's shallow, he's cold, he's like gives you the one word answers, obviously has no depth. That's not it.
Mm.
Right? So now all of a sudden you can see him like, wow, look, he's stoic, he's being a man, he's trying to figure it out himself. Like 50% of your life is different with men, understanding that, whether like that's liberation,
Yeah.
right? And again, so it's the not knowing any of this that destroys everything. And in a culture where they say 50-50, boss babes, vulnerable, sweet man, it's not
Interesting.
working.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
working.
It's not working. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's
wow.
not working. It's difficult and it's frustrating and it's hurtful.
Exactly. So for lasting and fulfilling relationships, what are the top values and principles that couples need to prioritize?
Well, it's about, you just said it. Everybody's got different lifestyle. Everybody's got different ways they were raised, right? People, they live differently, right? So, like, the ultimate, your values have to line up. Like, so that would be the first investigation in compatibility, right? So, I would say body to body, we like each other. Do we have similar values? Like, I'm telling you, like some people, the idea of how they're going to raise their kids before they have kids in the dating phase. And she's like, I do not agree. This is not how I raise my kids. That's not going to work.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So it's in Los Angeles, a lot of Jewish people. So some Jewish people want to be married to Jewish people.
Mm.
Period. There's no negotiating. So they meet somebody, you're not Jewish. Okay, see ya. Do you know what I mean? So like that kind of stuff, value system. But then some people don't give a crap about religion. And a lot of Jewish people don't give a crap about marrying a Jewish person, but like there's either that style or that style. What's your value, right? If you want somebody who's like religious minded, whichever religion that is, because that's a value for you, and they're atheists, chances are it's not going to work, right? So again, values, 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 values. This is how matchmakers actually match people together. They line up their values first, and then we have to discover if they have chemistry, compatibility, if they can communicate, and if the circumstances are right.
A lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's an adventure. That's the point. That's it takes it, and that's it's worth investigating because when the things actually line up,
Mm,
now you have something that could go forever, and you know how to do it.
yeah, very true.
That's
Oh,
pretty
well,
good.
yeah, no,
I
thank
think
you.
it's worth the learning. I think it's worth learning, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
I
look behind me. So my background is in dancing, right? So this is my wife and I ballroom dancing.
oh
Isn't
wow.
that crazy? It's beautiful. They're beautiful.
Yes,
Now, that's kind of the model of relationship that is standard in classic, right? Leadership with sensitivities, because if I lead her too hard, I could hurt her, right? In my leadership with sensitivity, so she's comfortable, right? I'm always attuned to how she's feeling and how she's responding, right? There's a lot of it, like finesse here, but I'm leading, but
yeah,
gently,
yeah,
right? And we've practiced enough that she understands my leads, just with my fingertips and my hand on her shoulder. And when I did a little pressure here and there, right? There's a finesse of dancing together.
true.
On her side, she's not passive.
Mm,
I'm leading, but she's not passive. She has to hold her frame. She's doing everything I'm doing backwards in high heels in a dress. That's not easier,
mm,
right? It's actually it's very different.
yeah,
But she actually is because she trusts my leadership and she knows I'm not going to hurt her because I have sensitivities. I'm always connected to her moment to moment, right? To for her to respond. She then, knowing this could be vulnerable to my leadership, let me lead, right? Doing her part and supporting her side. But guess what happens? Vulnerability means letting go of control.
mm,
I'm controlling, right? The whole thing sensitively, right? With devotion. That's a relationship dynamic, men, women. She is able to be vulnerable because she trusts me. She feels safe with me,
mm,
right? She could actually then let go of trying to help and control, which is slips women into feminine instantly. And what happens is when you see a ballroom couple dance, when I dance with my wife, this beautiful gliding, effortless thing, two people coming together as a new unit, right? That is beautiful, impossible by yourself, right? We create something new that's beautiful. Even though I'm doing a lot of the work, so is she, but like, I'm leading this thing. She lets go. What happens? She slips into her feminine. She radiates femininity, which means no one's looking at me. And I don't care. But like no one's looking at the male in a bone couple. You're always looking at the woman effervescing, like
true.
energy, smile, femininity, right? So in order for her to be feminine, she has to trust and allow me to lead her. The relationships are the same. Yin yang, right? If we both want to drive, right? If you go both go for the wheel, the plane crashes.
Not gonna work.
But
Yeah,
that's what they teach us out there. This is what doesn't work, even though it sounds right. It doesn't work. It works for money and business, not relationships.
true. Yeah. Oh wow, I love that. Thank
Fact.
you.
Fact, 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 fact. Not my opinion. It's the same. How you feel? You like this stuff?
It's really, really interesting, honestly. Yeah. So,
Isn't it?
okay, so I'm just thinking about, listeners out there. So let's just say somebody's feeling stuck or overwhelmed in their current relationships. What is the
Yep.
first step that they can take right now toward creating a positive change?
Well, it depends what they're stuck and challenged with, right? So the challenges come with just dealing with people. It's just more elevated emotionally with the people you're in love with or you're in relationships with. But I always say like learn, learn to open the channels in a way that invites the other one in,
Okay.
right? I call it clean the pancake. So do not let the pancake stack up on the plate because if you let the pancake stack up on the plate, eventually you start believing the person's a jerk, right? So this is a classic thing that women do, right? Um, he'll say something, he'll do something, or he won't say something that you think he should have, or he doesn't do something you think he should have, and you get all like, oh,
Yeah.
right, right. But it's not a
Right.
huge deal. It's not a huge deal. It's just like now you're frustrated, right? You're irritated. You think he's a jerk, but like it's not a huge deal, right? But so he doesn't even know he did it, or he seems that he doesn't know that he did it, right? And you can't believe that he doesn't know that he did it, blah blah blah, right? It's all that stuff assumption, right? So then you get and you go take a walk, take the dog for a walk for 30 minutes or whatever. You come back, you're like, okay, I feel better, right? Because your feeling drives you. So when you're angry, don't speak, don't attack, don't lean in, don't try to have a conversation. It'll go out of control. He'll climb on top of you. You will say things you don't mean that you can't take back. No, we don't fight. We don't fight when we're angry. We take our corners, right? That's one. And then we'll come back to the table with, when you said this earlier, it made me feel like this and just kind of triggered me. And like, is that what you meant to do? As opposed to, I'm sick of your shit. I'm putting my heel down. Don't ever talk to me that way, right? That's another battle. When you said this is what happened to me, made me feel like this, didn't like it. Actually, kind of remind me of my dad, and I really hate when he did that. So now I'm projecting that on you. Did you know you did that? Did you mean to do that? Right? And a conversation like this, again, on both sides, both man does the same thing, right? With this, like you have to approach respectfully, and when you approach somebody respectfully, they can't react and get mad at you. You get an explanation or an apology. Often for us, when we hurt your feelings, because we forgot some shit, right? We're in our heads all the time, and then we like say stuff and we forget. And to you, it's like you have a brain for details. We talked about this earlier. You have a brain for details. We don't. My brain's not wired for details. It's wired for survival. Your survival is into the details. So your brain is wired to remember every little thing, and everything's dangerous. Everything has a reason. Everything has a plan. Everything has a place. You get it? So we don't have that kind of brain. So we forget things all the time because they're important to you, but not important to me. Right? Then you say, look, he never cares about my stuff. Well, yes, absolutely. So we screw up all the time. Again, different machine. So we hurt your feelings because we forgot some stuff. And if you say, babe, that's good, blah, you agreed to ta 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 ta, and it's a third. I asked you twice, and and you said you would, and you said you would, you said you would, and you. I'm still struggling with that. It's still not done. Help me understand, because I don't understand why it's not happening. Wait, what? Wait, what? Remember you said you're gonna fix the garage door. Now I feel unsafe. It's been 3 days, and you said 2 days ago you'll get it done for the evening. I can't sleep with the garage door that's not secure. You understand? But you said you would. Like now, I'm watching you. I don't want to nag you, but by the third, like I'm starting to get angry at you because I feel unsafe because you're not doing what you said you were gonna do. Oh shit, I totally forgot. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry, right? So you get an apology and a jump to action, or often is you will assume something by his action. You assume that he's trying to signal you something that it's not what he said, it's not what he meant, it's not what he was communicating, but you'll make it up because you have to figure out why he did that, why he didn't do this. And you're always, I'm going to say this 97% of the time, what you assume that he meant to hurt your feelings, right? You're completely wrong. So when this happened, when you did this, that's what happened to me. Made me feel like, are you aware of this? And you go, oh, yeah, no, that's not what I was doing at all. This is what I was doing. Right? I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example because these take it home. I have these two men, uh, client and his wife, but he's on the phone in the other room with his buddy from work. So the woman's in the kitchen. He's in the next room on the phone with his buddy. And they're talking shit because guys do this. And at one point, his voice went, and she's like, huh? Right? So she kind of leans in a little bit, and he's like, "Yeah, she's completely fucking crazy, man. I don't understand. Like that chick needs to get right." So she's like, "Oh, he's talking about me to his buddy." That's why he lowered his voice. She thought. So now her feelings are hurt. She's furious. She's heartbroken. She said, "How could he talking behind my back to his friend and calling me crazy?" So she stomps off to the bathroom, out of sort, furious. He has no idea. He's still on the phone with his buddy, right? So, so she kind of wrangled herself up, right? I taught her this stuff. So got herself centered, comes back out to him, right? He was off the phone. He was putzing about something. She's like, "Babe, can I run something by you?" Right? That we need to talk. We need to talk. He's going to do this. Do not ever say to a man, we need to talk. He knows you're about to fight. And man, if you say we need to talk to a woman, she assumes that you want to break up with her. Don't do it. These are bad communications that we all do. So instead of we need to talk, hey babe, can I run something by you? Or can I check something with you? That makes the other person curious. Yes, sure, what's up? Now they're open instead of right. So she goes, I couldn't help but hear, you're talking to Jack earlier, and when you lower your voice and you call me crazy, like I just don't know what to do with this. Like it really hurt my feelings. I had to go to the bathroom and kind of reset. Like I don't know why you would do this. He's all, what? Yeah, we're in the kitchen and you lower your voice, and I heard it over. Even though you lower your voice, you didn't want me to hear, but you call me crazy in front of Jack. He's all, no, I didn't. We're talking about Susie in the office. Well, you ladies will jump to shit like this all the time, right? You'll make a meaning when you don't know. You get your feelings hurt. I say, go clean it up. This is what I call don't let the pancakes stack up, because eventually, if you don't handle the stuff and get clarity, get an explanation and or an apology, you think he's a jerk, and one day he's going to leave a cup of water on the counter after you spend 2 hours cleaning the kitchen, and you're going to throw the whole plate at his head. You're going to lose your shit, and he's going to look at you like you're insane because
Yeah.
this cup is why I'm being attacked, and I'm a jerk, and I always, and I never, and I don't respect you, and I don't see.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So this is
Yeah.
what doesn't work, but this is what typically we do. So don't let the plate stack up. Clean every pancake that happens. You just got to take a beat, get yourself centered, approach him respectfully, without attacking. When that happens, this is what happened to me. Are you aware? I need you to tell you this is what it felt like. What? What? And again, apology or explanation.
Love that. Thank you.
Communication, right? So again, nobody teaches us how to do this.
No, exactly. And so thinking about your younger self, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give your younger self right now?
Oh, goodness. My younger self was very confused. My younger self came from a ridiculous family setting. My younger self raised himself. Uh, I would say for me is when I kind of put together then my ridiculous circumstances in my family was not evil. It looked like they did it to me, but I was part and caught up in the circumstances of their lives as a little one. So the madness that was happening in their lives became the madness that I took personally, that I'm not good enough, I don't belong here, right? They don't want me. So I projected that. That's what we all do, by the way, as children, right? We project when
True.
we're not loved right, we take it personally. We think there's something wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm not good enough. I'm not, I'm not worthy of love. I'm not lovable for the ladies, right? That's a big one. And injuries from childhood. So if you decode all these things, even if your parents were completely insane, like mine kind of were, they didn't do it on purpose. They're just they they they're a result of their injuries, their past, their crazy, family, and some people are all kinds of twisted. I get it now, but we have children, but they just have children. They don't necessarily. Some people are, obviously nasty, but as a rule, most people that just don't have the tools to family system to raise children in a healthy way. They don't know. They don't know. Right? Or what they know is not really how it works, and so they create more drama. So in the end, I say, I call it do your work, go investigate the injuries on your heart. Because again, in my work, this first thing I do with my clients, I use NLP to remove the baggage of their past, the injuries from their past. 5 years old, 6 years old, it's a big one, and then they accumulate from there, right? So, like, I can't get anybody in a healthy relationship until we clean up your baggage from your past. The false belief that you made about yourself, about the world, about people, about life, from not having been loved right. So that's called doing your work. And if you don't do your work at 35 to 40, your whole life collapses because you ignored stuff that you should have handled. And the good news is we all get a chance in midlife to do our work. So I say if you really want, this is what happened to me on some level. When I realized I had no tools, I felt that I didn't belong here, and I didn't think I was going to be here long, honestly, from those beginnings. Um, but I kept going and found my way and did my work. And on this side now, I'm this guy who has everything, and now I could pass it, pay it forward, and help others who struggle with this stuff. I've been there. I've done it, right? So,
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Amazing.
sure.
Yeah. And so what's kind of in the pipeline for Project Equinox?
Well, I don't know when you're releasing this, but next Tuesday I have a live event. I do events on Zoom. I do them live in Los Angeles on a regular basis every quarter or so. So again, if you follow me on, I'm all the social platforms. So you could actually, if you go to my Instagram, you could actually find that event. You could register for it for next Tuesday. It's going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours for Q&A. At least the last half hour open. So it's a 2 hour event. There's a small fee, but it's a way to get more of the work that I'm doing. So that event, we're going to talk about um, the four types of men, the four types of women, right? The four things to have a fully we just talked about some of it, like to have the four things you have to have for a long-term relationship, and then more about we speak and we listen differently, and we speak we listen different. It's mind-boggling, and it takes repeating and actually examples to kind of start catching it from the other side and from your side. So that's it. That's that event. Like I said, a couple hours, and it's just it's not knowing that's messing everyone up. We think we're the same. We think we're much more alike than we're not, right? Again, because equality in the culture kind of transgress into the idea that men and women should be the same, act the same, and
True.
nothing can be more untrue. Like my favorite thing to say, this is a little bit crass, but we're as equal as our genitals. Completely opposite, but made to fit. That's
True.
everything about men and women temperamentally is made to fit. Complete opposite made to fit, but that's hard to deal with. It's confusing. So
True.
to learn to meet in the middle, fit. That's
Yeah.
what I'm. That's what I'm up to.
And
Whew.
your books as well. Do your books cover a lot of your teaching?
No, these books these two books are about resilience and how I get to be a businessman. So it's a cooperation of these both books are a cooperative work of different entrepreneurs who succeed. Their stories of success coming from terrible beginnings to success. So these are inspiring books about success stories. Mine in two different ways. So
Mhm.
that's what the book is about. But I have two books I'm in the middle of putting together. One about how to raise children, because I I raised my children on an experiment. But what
Interesting.
I meant is I was not going to raise them like I was raised, right? So there's I look like a musician, but I'm a geek. I research everything. I'm a complete brain.
Mhm.
Um, with long hair and bracelets. Uh, but I'm also a dancer, so I'm very physical. But I kind of both. I'm doing both all the time. Um, but when my kids were little, and they're all motor skills and no brain. You know this, right? They're all action, they're all energy, especially the boys. Testosterone just flying. They're flying off the couch. They're slapping things around. They're kicking everything. They throw everything right over the table, right, whatever. Is they're just testosterone animals, right? I call them monkeys because they act and right. There's monkeys never stop moving, never stop moving, never stop moving, never stop moving. Right. Anyway, so at one point when they're 2, 3 years old, you before that two about the moment they start walking, right, you have to start putting boundaries around them, right? So my dad raised us. He basically we call it intimidation. He scared us straight, right? That's one way parents right control their kids. They scare the life out of them. We used to go. I have five siblings. We used to go to a restaurant when we were little. It was like this.
Oh, wow.
Like this is a lot of fun, right? Because if you were loud, if you stepped out of bound, if you whatever, you would get it in the car. So he scared the shit out of us, and that's how a lot of people raise their kids to
Mhm.
control them.
True,
But
true.
when you do this, you break their spirit. You break their spirit. So the other way people raise their, like per my study, my research, is people will seduce their kids, which means it would do the opposite of my dad would be if you behave in a restaurant, I'll buy you dessert later. We get ice cream later, right? This is called seducing the kid. It's just as shitty. Both are like it's either getting on top of them or getting under them
Uh,
to beg them for you know what I mean? Both are ridiculous. You see what I'm saying?
so ridiculous.
So I was gonna do either one of those. So I did some research, right? And again, it was very, and at the time I was training with Dr. Pat Allen here in Los Angeles, who's a family child marriage therapist for like 46 years. I spent 3.5 years with a woman alone in an office with three other people, like semi privately, learning everything that she's experienced in 46 years of family child marriage therapist. But with her help, I'm like, I don't want to scare my kids, and I'm not going to seduce them. Absolutely not. She goes, oh well, said you have to learn to deal with them adult to adult,
Yeah.
even though they're little.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that theory became very interesting, right? But when I raised my kids, not knowing if it's going to work,
Interesting.
so I was not going to do this, and I was never going to do this. So I did this constantly, and it was constantly adjustment and negotiating. And I set the rules, but you can negotiate the rules. Otherwise, I'm a bully. So again, children, if they don't have a voice and they can't negotiate with you, what do? They go around you. They cheat. They lie. They sneak. So in every position of power, in every relationships, right? Parent child, there's a power trip, right? Student teacher student, there's a power trip. Employee employee, there's a power trip, right? So we experience a lot of power tripping, and the person with less power is going to try everything to get some power by sneaking around, cheating, stealing, right? I remember when I had my other business, I had a car business in Los Angeles, right? If my employees were I was very I was very aware of being fair with my employees, because if I knew if I pissed them off, they would still for me left and right, because that's what if you don't have any power.
Yeah.
So when I actually kind of taught my kids that they have a voice, they have the right to negotiate, even though I make the rules, and sometimes they have to win. Otherwise, I'm just a bully with a smile, right? Sometimes they have to win the negotiation. So instead of trying to get around me, cheat and lie with me and try to, they know they have a voice, and they could just come to daddy or mom and like ask for permission for this, ask for adjustment here, tell me why it's important to you, da 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 da. Okay, absolutely. Right. So they don't have to sneak around and try to get away or around us. Right. So it worked. My favorite thing is I'm showing off now, but I have a boy and a girl. My boy is the first one, but I was learning all this at the time. I learned this when they were little, but one of my buddies, as I'm kind of showing off a little bit about this, he goes, haha, he goes, you think you got this figured out? He goes, wait till your little angel turns 12, and this little angel is going to turn a freaking monster. She'll tell you how much she hates you. She'll throw stuff at you. She'll slam doors. Like you'll have like chaos like you can't believe, right? Because that's puberty does that, right? To little girls, especially if they're not heard and right. And feel whatever. So I'm like, I remember saying to him, I'm like, you know, I don't really see that happening. He goes, yeah, okay, dude. Like you can avoid that what the rest of the world's going through, right? This is just normal. Teenagers go crazy and they hate you, and you'll hate them for a bit. I'm like, I don't know. Well, guess what? There was never screaming in my house. There was never door slamming. There was never I hate you. There was nothing. It was quiet.
Wow.
And they actually did the same thing with each other. So they were getting along and respecting each other because that was the atmosphere in the house. Like my house is never, we didn't go through the puberty madness at all.
Wow.
So I have a book about that in my head that I'm I'm putting together because it actually worked. They're now, he's 24, she's 22, and they're amazing
Very
young
interesting.
men and women.
Yeah, and it's like,
I
yeah,
think I did good. I think I did good.
yeah, but it's little things like if, in my situation is I've got a 6-year-old, and yeah, I always treat him like an equal part. And I'll ask him, oh, Noah, would you like to come with Mama? Whereas my other half, he's very a bit more controlling. Like
Isn't
he's
it?
he's the bad cop, and he'll always be
Yeah.
like, don't ask him, just take him. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I want to ask.
And again, like right? And sometimes they need to be told too. You know what I mean? So like there's two ways, but kids need both the masculine and feminine way to raise them.
Yeah,
Period.
true.
They need both. They need both. Like,
Polarity.
there's a lot of research on that, right? Men will be more direct and let them fall because, okay, get up, you're fine. Where the mother is behind running, like 3 feet behind, just like, in case he falls, right? And he's like, let him fall. It's fine, right? So we approach up raising children very differently.
We do.
That's the point, and they're both essential. So he's going to be
Interesting.
rough, sure. She's going to be, more wordy and more use your words, right? My wife used your words when my son's acting, where I would just take him by the pants, put him in his room.
Yeah.
You just sit here for a minute. You're acting like a fool, right? Close the
Yeah.
door. She's like bending down. Okay, what's happening? Use your words. Tell mommy what's happening. And patient, like an angel, which I don't have. Man and woman, mom and dad. The kids need both. The kids need both. The kids need both. The kids need both. So when you get that, it's a much more fun adventure.
Yeah. Healthy. Yeah. Amazing. Oh, thank you. So where can my listeners find you?
Okay, so I actually also have two gifts for you listeners, if you like. Two
Yeah.
gifts, because we talked about it earlier, right? I do a lot of podcasting because I'm trying to spread this message to the world. There is hope, ladies. There is hope, gentlemen. Relationships are possible in this crazy age, and it has to be reframed closer to nature, not the 50s, not the 50s. There's a modern way to do healthy relationships and get the life that you want. And anyway, so I do podcasts for that reason. Like I've explained the hope, and thank you for helping me spread the word and the hope that there's a way to do this.
Yeah.
But I notice in podcasting, there's two types of listeners, which I find interesting. But I discover that. So there are listeners that show up because they're curious, they want information. They're just starting to scratch the surface. They're a little bit like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how come men? How come women? Right? They're just starting to poke around at the stuff. So
Curious.
curious information seekers. So if you're qualify yourself, listeners, as a information seeker, I have a gift for you. I'm going to send you directly to my email. If you go to Andre, Andre, coaching, the word coaching, COACHING, the number one at Gmail, Andre Coaching one at Gmail. And in the subject box, you write uh, Irresistible Book. I have this 30-page book that's called The Five Feminine Qualities High Value Men Find Absolutely Irresistible.
Nice.
This comes from my work with men. So it's a workbook. There's notes to take, right? It's like you'll learn the stuff and kind of put it together for yourself. And
Yeah.
so it's a 30 pages. I sell it on my website. But if you just Andre Coaching One Me Irresistible Book, I'll send it to you for free. It's going to be a PDF file. So gift number one for information seekers. Good stuff,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah.
Gift number two, or the second type listeners, are people who kind of like lean right in, right? And they kind of resonated with what I said, or something that I said went, oh,
Yeah.
oh, either this guy knows something, or I want to talk to him, right? It happens a lot because I teach nature. Again, what I'm teaching is not my opinion. It's this, it resonates with most people. So if something resonated that I said, and you understand that I know what I'm talking about, this is my full-time job. It's not a hobby.
Yeah.
um, on jcoaching1 at Gmail, and in the subject box, write talk now. And
Talk now.
talk now. What I'll do is I'll send you uh, the link to my calendar. You'll find yourself a time that's open. We'll have an hour call. It's called exploratory, right? Men or women, right? Because it's different. There's a little questionnaire, but and I'll set up a one-on-one call like you and I are now privately, and we'll talk about where your challenges are,
Yeah.
where you're stuck, what's not working. A lot of us realize at one point in life that we're stuck in a loop. Always the same ending in the relationship, always same ending in money matters, always same ending in finding money, right? So the loop means your subconscious is driving you in beliefs that you forgot. So in that call, we go right to childhood. In
Yeah.
15 minutes, we'll decode. See, I'm dead serious. It's really quick. Decode where the wheels came off for you as a child, where you made decisions about yourself that were conclusions from your circumstances, that you're not lovable, you're not good enough, you have to man up, the world isn't safe, right? You name it, right? These things we concluded when our feelings and our minds came together, the awareness at five of anyway. So we conclude that something's wrong with us. It's not true. Just knowing that, when you discovered that, you realize as an adult, there's nothing, you're not broken, because people come at me with, there's something wrong with me, I'm broken, right? I'm always attracting bad man. I'm broken. Go back. Oh, bad daddy. Oh, there it is, right? Like really quickly. And you realize you're not broken, you're a circumstance of your past. And if we know what happened, we could fix it. Like I said, remove the stress, the trauma off your nervous system, which means when you get that cleaned up, you're actually conscious, aware at choice. So now we can look at the future. What's the dream? You want marriage, you want kids, you want long-term relationship, companionship. What do you want? Right? And then I'll tell you what I offer, just 5 different ways to work with me if you want to. But for most people, just that call is liberating. So call. I mean, it's not scary. There's no pressure. This is who I am. We'll talk about what's not working for you, and we'll take it from there. Andre Coaching One, talk now. Boom. That's what I'm offering.
Amazing. Wow. How
I think
generous of
so.
you. So
But
generous.
I
Go.
think so. But I mean, like I said, if my mission in life is to help people, then there it is. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, no, amazing. So many incredible insights that even I've learnt in this session, and I know that my listeners will also be learning so much. And I think it's one of those podcasts where I would definitely listen again because you just pick up so many different parts, don't you?
yep.
Every time you ingest new content. So it'll definitely be on that level. And wow, just so much, so much of polarity and the masculine, feminine energy. So wow, you're just a walking book of knowledge.
But it's I'm a curious guy. Like I said, when I discovered this thing back in 2006, I went nuts and just kept going because the more I realized, the more I learned, the more I realized there's more to learn. So, and still to this day, research all the time. Like I have
Yeah,
a file right next to me right now that's 2 months old. I have this much research material about
amazing.
decoding these things in a finesse. It's the little things that not the
So
big
many.
stuff. The big stuff comes from accumulating all the little stuff, like pancake, pancake plate. That's
Pancake.
like one thing. But people slip apart because they don't fix these things. And then
Yeah.
something big happens. But it's always a little crap.
The
Just
day to
saying,
day. The day to day.
day to day, and you're cleaning it up. If you don't clean it up, it creates distance between you. And 10 years later, you'll say shit like, and I'm dead serious, you'll say shit like, we grew apart. No, you didn't. You didn't clean up your shit.
You didn't grow up.
That's what they say. They we grew apart. No, you didn't. You start believing the person doesn't care for you, love you, respect you for all the little details, all the infraction that were never cleaned up. We
Yeah.
grew apart. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You just didn't know how to communicate to clean it up
You hear that a lot. Yeah.
because you kind of reclose the bond, right? When you have an argument, that close, open, close, close, close. Stay connected. Stay as opposed to it's not that hard. You just got to
No.
learn. Just like if you're going to be, if you want to be ballroom dancing, you have to learn. You're not going to figure it out by yourself. You can get on the dance floor with a girl. You don't know how to hold her. You know how to, like this has to be learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowadays, relationships have to be learned.
Relationships do. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. And I will be dropping all your links in this podcast episode. And
Thank you.
yeah, listeners, do reach out to Andre, send him an email, whether it's for a chat or whether it's for the free book that you're going
Or
to receive.
both. Do both. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Like, seriously, I'm really trying to help people kind of like understand the
Yeah.
things they don't understand, and it causes too much pain and frustration and suffering, and people falling apart because they don't know.
They don't know.
No, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that.
And yeah, I mean, books like the Men Are From
Mars
Mars.
and Venus, yeah, that's one of the mentors I work with, Dr. John Gray.
Okay.
So a lot of his work the past 15 years has been about the chemistry of our bodies and our brains that makes us act differently and motivates us. That all of that, again, when the culture says 50-50, not at all, not even a little bit, right? Again, opposition to come together. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, no, he's doing some really great work. Like it's very different than his original work.
Yeah.
Fascinating, fascinating.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, wow. Amazing. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing where your journey takes you as well. So,
Yeah, well,
so-
just look out for Oprah Big. We'll see. It's gonna take a minute, but that's the goal. I mean, I'm going to do this with others, obviously, right? There'll be other disruptors we call
Mm,
to create a movement because that's the only way to change the culture and kind of recalibrate everything that
yeah,
works as opposed to what doesn't work. It's
true.
confusing and frustrating. That's the stuff.
It is. Yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
your help. Thank you for helping me spread that. message.
Thank you. Oh, amazing. Yeah, so listeners, that's all we have time for today. And we hope you enjoyed the show because I know I sure did. And yeah, so do reach out if you have any questions. We love you. Stay blessed and keep shining.